Welcome back, guys. So, today we are going to, discuss further on simple interest and compound interest. So, in my last video on comparing quantities, I introduced simple interest and compound interest, the various, terms involved in the calculation of simple interest and compound interest, right? And I kind of, rushed through in arriving at the formula for compound interest. So let me, start off with explaining about simple interest one more time for the benefit of everyone. The money that we lend, the money that we give as loan, or the money that a financial institution gives its customer as loan is called principal. It is denoted by the capital letter P. So capital letter P denotes the principal or the money that is lent by a financial institution to its borrowers or customers, or the money that we loan to somebody. So that amount is called as principal. The initial amount that is paid as a loan to someone is called principal. And every institution, every financial institution, in order to make profit, will have to charge a certain percentage amount in addition to the principal when they are collecting back the money from their borrower or customer. That percentage money on the principal that is collected over and above the principal is called rate of interest. It is called as interest, and the rate at which we collect is called rate of interest. So the rate of interest is represented by capital R. So capital R denotes the rate at which interest is charged on a specific principal amount lent to a customer by a financial institution. T represents the time period. If the loan is given for 3 years, then T is equal to 3. So T represents time period. If the loan is extended for 5 years, then the time period T is equal to 5. Okay. If the loan is extended for 2 years, time period T is equal to 2. Alright. So what is simple interest? Simple interest, right? Simple interest is nothing but the rate of interest applied on the principal. Okay. So for 1 year, let us assume the rate of interest, the interest percentage is 5%. Okay. And the principal is 10,000. Okay. Principal is 10,000 and rate is 5% per year. Okay. Rate of interest, always whenever you talk about rate of interest, you need to mention the rate of interest per what time period. Okay. So you have to say whether it is for 1 year or for half year, etc. So let us assume in our example, the rate of interest, right, 5% is yearly. Okay, yearly rate of interest. And the loan is given for 3 years, which means the time period, right, T is 3. Okay. So what would be the simple interest for the first year? It is principal into 5%, isn't it? So principal is 10,000, 10,000 into 5 by 100. This is the interest amount for the first year. What would be the interest amount for the second year? Again, it is simple interest. Hence, principal, original principal multiplied by rate 5% divided by 100. Okay, because in the first year, the time period is 1. Right? We are calculating for 1 year. Right? So, for the first year, the interest is the rate percentage applied on the principal. For the second year also, it is a rate percentage applied on the principal. For the third year, because it is for 3 years, it is again P into 5% by 100. 10,000 into 5 by 100. So what is the total amount that we are collecting? Okay, it is the summation, the sum of the interest for the entire 3 years. Okay, so in the first year you have 10,000 into 5 by 100 plus 10,000 into 5 by 100 for the second year plus 10,000 into 5 by 100 for the third year, isn't it? So what happens is it becomes 10,000 into 5 by 100 into 3. Okay, into 3. So 3 is nothing but the time period T, isn't it? So if the time period is 4, you will have to find rate interest amount for the fourth year as well. So that would be 10,000 into 5 by 100. So if you add 4 interest amount together, it is 10,000 into 5 by 100 plus 10,000 into 5 by 100 plus 10,000 into 5 by 100 into 10,000 into 5 by 100 4 times. So it becomes 10,000 into 5 by 100 into 4. Okay. So in general, what is that we are talking about? 10,000 principal P, 5 is nothing but R, rate of interest. Okay. And 3 or 4 that we denote is number of years. It becomes T. So in general, simple interest formula is principal into rate into time period divided by 100. Right? So some people might wonder why we are putting divided by 100. It is nothing but for if the time period is 4 years, you have to calculate the interest amount on the principal for 4 years. So if it is 5%, how will you calculate 5% on the principal 10,000? 5 divided by 100. 5% means 5 by 100 into 10,000. That is the interest amount for 1 year. Now if the time period is 3 years, it gets tripled, right? Or in other words, it is getting multiplied by the number of years, right? Or the time period. Okay. So this is how the simple interest formula is evolved. Okay. So simple interest SI, which is generally denoted as SI, is equal to principal into rate of interest R. If it is 5%, R becomes 5 into T, time period, divided by 100. This will give you simple interest amount. Now the total amount that you have to pay back to the financial institution would be the initial principal P plus the interest amount, which is PRT by 100. Okay, so this is the genesis of the formula for simple interest. Now, when we talk about compound interest, right, there are two aspects that we have to be very careful about. Okay, one is, see, the period of conversion. See, as I told you in my last video, compound interest is nothing but during the defined period, right? You find the interest and then the principal is added to the interest. For the second period, the interest is calculated on the new principal. Okay, the principal obtained by adding the initial principal with the interest amount. So the difference between compound interest and simple interest is in our approach, how we take the principle, right? How we arrive at the principle for interest calculation. That is where it differs. Okay. So if we are told that, the interest is compounded annually, which means we are looking at calculating interest for 1 year period, right? Or yearly period. And then, you keep arriving at the new principal. You find out the interest amount for the next 1 year, right? And then you arrive at the interest amount, add it to the principal of the start of the year. And then you find the interest amount for the final third year. I'm assuming that it is for 3 years and compounded annually. Whenever we come across this concept called compounding annually, we also need to check whether the rate of interest provided to us is annually or any other or for any other time period. For instance, the rate of interest could be half yearly as well. So whenever we are asked to compound the interest annually, it means the rate also need to be an annual rate. So if it is given half yearly, you need to multiply with 2 so that it becomes annual. If the rate of interest is quarterly, then you need to multiply with 4 so that it becomes annual. If the rate of interest is for 2 years, then you need to divide by 2 and make sure that it becomes rate of interest for 1 year. You find the rate of interest for 1 year. So these two aspects are very, very important. So you will have to first check whether you are, how you are asked to compound the interest. Whether you have been asked to compound the interest annually or half yearly or quarterly. That should match with your rate of interest. If you are asked to compound it annually, then the rate of interest also should be annual. If you are asked to compound half yearly, then the rate of interest also should be half yearly. If you are asked to compound quarterly, then the rate of interest also has to be quarterly. Okay, so the period of compounding, right, or the period for which you are asked to find the compound interest, I'm saying annually, quarterly, etc. It is called conversion period. Okay, so this is called conversion period. All right, so the conversion period is nothing but the period based on which you have to find the compound interest. Okay, so in my next video, we will go further detail into compound interest, and we also will go through few examples of where compound interest is applied. Please wait for my next video. In case if you have any doubts in this particular video, kindly do not hesitate to send an email to askmentorguru@gmail.com. So this is our official email ID for asking all the doubts. Please send in your email to askmentor, mentor, guru, guru @gmail.com. Right? Our vision is that these videos, this knowledge should reach as many children as possible. Right? If you find this video useful, kindly forward it to your friends, kindly forward it to as many known people as possible. Right? We will also appreciate if you could subscribe and press the bell button, hoping that you find our efforts useful and of assistance to you in coaching your children if you are parents, and in case if you are students, you find it extremely useful to learn and score good marks. All right, great. So we will meet in our next video on compound interest. Thank you.